camera issue figured out. So it won't be so wobbly. At least I won't bump it with my head. I can actually move the light independently now. It's kind of nice. Oh. Unless I do that. If I do that, then it's all messed up. And the camera will wobble, 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 wobble. Stop. Alright. Oh, inertia. Alright, cruel, cruel mistress. Alright. Let's get this going. My phone set to be quiet. So, and we can get going here. Alright, awesome sauce. Alright, I kind of want to work on this guy today. He doesn't have a base yet, so I do need to work at that at some point. He's got his mouth pink. That part looks good, but still need to highlight his tongue and pull that out. Not literally, if he figuratively pull it out. Alright, so let's do his teeth and tongue here. Let's do layers on the tongue. We need our pink. Where's our pink? Get some tanned flesh. Will that work? Yep, that'll work. Here, almost not used because I swapped it out. A little bit of bronze in there. I was thinking about getting one of those shaker machines for paints for a self Christmas gift here. It's already sitting in the Amazon outbox waiting for me to just give in and buy it for $50 and never have to shake paints like this ever again. Wouldn't that be nice? We'll see if I break. Alright, I'm going to add a little bit of glaze medium to this because I want that darker pink to show through. This is really just meant to lighten up the tongue so it doesn't blend in with the rest of the mouth. We'll do that and see how it goes. I think this is a better spot for the camera. So it's not straight up and down, and it's not my way, so I can actually get pretty close here and at the top of this tongue. Flesh, and again I want the darker spots to go through, so it's going to be kind of a splotchy effort, not full coverage. And so because it's got the glaze medium on it, it's going to take a little bit to dry. That's going to look good once it is dry. Same thing to our little dinosaur creatures here. Got little itty bitty tongues in their mouths. Itty bitty. This one, his tongue, his mouth is just barely open. Still get it in there anyway. They're looking pretty good. Coming along. Haven't gotten to paint very much in the last day, but we'll see what we can accomplish in the next hour or so. So we can Feels slightly productive. I was printing off a statue for scatter terrain, and the statue failed, but the shield worked. So now I don't know what I'm going to do with the shield. I'll have to try printing the statue again with different supports. Let's see if that comes out. Alright, so little tongue is drying. We can start hitting the claws, I suppose. Claws and teeth. I don't want to use Wraith Bone. I want to use something darker than Wraith Bone because this is not a creature that has good dental hygiene. So I want teeth that look kind of brown. Let's see if I can find the color I was thinking of. Crusted Sore is too dark. I want something that looks kind of scummy. When in doubt, go with the Death Guard green. It's perfect. Funny that YouTube doesn't like it when your stream's bitrate is too high. You'd think it would really only complain when it's too low, but apparently too high is a thing. I'm not a network person, so someone would have to explain to me why that matters. Actually, because there's so much of it, get some green here. That way we can do a little bit more control. Mix in a little bit of that. Make it a little fleshy. And start working on teeth and claws. So this will just be a base coat, and come back later and a wash over the top to make it look awesome. And then do highlights, and the claws will make the monster. Those are gonna look good. Looking good. Send a message real quick. Drop it into Discord here just in case anybody is around and wants to hang out. We will see. Alright. Claws, claws, claws. Bullet is the name of this. I've remembered it now. How's it going, Andre? Doing well. Just trying to be a little productive today. I figured I'd force myself to stream, and that usually makes me productive. Paint this bullet and make it look awesome. Working on the claws and the teeth, and get them washed eventually. I wanted to pick a darker color than Wraith Bone for the teeth because I don't want the teeth to be white and shiny. I want them to be kind of rotten looking. So going with Death Guard green. It'll look pretty nasty once they've got a wash over the top. greenish brown rather than pearly white. What are you up to today, Andre? Sticking off the end here, his tooth. Oh, I'm still gonna bump the camera apparently. Even though I moved it and put it somewhere else. It's like my head seeks it out. Figure need to be productive today. Got some plans for filming stuff this weekend for history video. Get that hopefully done over the weekend and get it posted Monday. Haven't done a history video in a while, so that bug was feeling neglected. Gotta keep it happy. Definitely a better position for the camera here. First unit for the Internal Dynasty. First unit for the Eternal Dynasty. Oh, okay, I think I know what you mean. Some toofs. Mouth only a mother could love. I don't know if I really had a use for it. It was a free model for one-page rules, some in collaboration with some other modeler to give it away for free. And so it looked kind of neat. It kind of almost looks like a Tyranid. So I downloaded it, and if I ever do start that Tyranid army that I've always wanted to start, but I'm waiting for a range refresh, then it might join the Tyranids as some sort of proxy. Until then, it'll just kind of sit around and look nasty on a shelf. Might give it to... I've got a buddy who plays D&D pretty often, so maybe I'll give it to him. Nice mouthful of teeth. Don't want to go too bright when you're a monster that looks like it doesn't have very good hygiene. Like, who's brushing your teeth? You can suspend your disbelief about a lot of things, but not proper dental care. That we don't joke about. I don't think my comedy will be appreciated in my time. Yeah, it's a neat model. I dig it. I wish I could remember. I'd have to dig into the Patreon posts to figure out who the artist was. I should probably find out before I post the final product on Twitter, so I can give them credit. Give him or her credit. Some claws going. Did a bit of a highlighting job on the tongue. Made that pop out a little bit more. I'll do just the peaks with an even brighter pink. I'll mix some white in there in a second and do that. Yeah, pretty neat model. I printed it a little bit larger than the default size, just because I could. It came out well. It doesn't even look like a 3D print. You know, sometimes no matter how well it prints, it still looks a little bit like it's done out of resin. But this one's pretty solid. I think it was printed Obsession. You know, that sounds correct. So I'll just go with that for now, and then when I do finish it and post it, I'll make sure to give the designer credit. I don't want to. Always got to give credit where credit's due. But that does sound right. Do you have any plans for the weekend? Or just working on your project? Don't worry too much about the bottoms. Alright. I should do those little arm thingies too. We have anything serious planned for this weekend. We had such a big whole Thanksgiving thing was such a big deal last week. I think we're probably just burnt out and going to hang out. Had any workers in all week, so our basement project hasn't gone any further, unfortunately. They say they are working on the cabinet doors in their shop. So we'll take their word for it, because it's not like I can call their bluff anything. So I will be printing that Robot Legion Spider stuff next week. Yep. Oh. Cool. How's it going, Steven? Well, thanks for coming by, Andre. I appreciate it. Take care. Have a good weekend. Yeah, the only way you can really tell it's 3D printed are those two little bottom bits. It didn't quite come out perfect, but since it's going to be sitting on its base like this, you're not going to see them anyway, so it's all good. Alright, let's do a little bit of extra white on the tongue, just to hit the peaks. Move on to the next step. My horribly clotted Wraith Bone. This has happened every single Wraith Bone I have. Just turns into this mess. It's a little disappointing. Don't call me, please. A little bit of Wraith Bone in here. A lighter pink. And just hit the top of the tongue here with little bumps. Lighten up as it dries, and we'll just get the highlights of the disgusting tongue, all the little ridges on the tongue. I was thinking of doing, I'll probably hit the eyes with the airbrush to make them kind of glowy green eyes. So I'll do white. I'll do white for the pupils, fill it in with the glowy green ink, and then use probably this scale 75 to make a kind of glowy effect around the eyes. I think that'll look pretty awesome once we get there. Hello everyone who just showed up. Cool to see you. Appreciate it. I didn't have a grand plan. I just have like 4 open projects now that I was going to do. I was going to do these sisters, but this little test model using a base yellow and then orange wash over the top does not make me a happy camper. So I'm actually going to just start over and go a different route on those because it looks terrible. Sometimes those bold plans just don't work out, and that's fine. That's how it goes. Got the mech issue. I was printing mechs, and for a long time they were basically printing one-legged, and I couldn't figure out why I was losing just one leg from mechs. So I was losing 1 or 2 from each set until I got in there, and when I was again zoomed in looking at the supports for these mechs, I noticed that quite a few of them have the treads on the bottom, which are accurate from the model, but when you're printing them, let's try to find an example here. One has just one leg. When printing them, we needed a support under each one of those pads, or else it would end up failing. So we end up with a guillotine with one leg. And it would always be the same leg, no matter how many times you sliced it and put different supports on it. So once I figured that out, I was able to go in and add the additional supports in the right spot and fix that type issue. So now we get successful full prints of 4 to 6 mechs at a time. That's good. We got the Supernova, Firestarter, Shadowhawk, Warhammer 2C, Rifleman 2C, Ryukin. I don't remember what this one was called. If anyone on the channel knows, you can yell it out at me. I think it's a clan mech. Pretty sure it's a clan mech. I just don't remember the name of it. I've got 2 of those at the moment. Find out when I eventually get them painted. Anyway, so there we delayed long enough for the teeth to dry, so now we can hit them with the wash. See, I had a plan the whole time. Just looks like I don't know what I'm doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. All right, let's use maybe a Goshawk. I'm not sure. What I'll have to do is I'll dig through the STL files and I'll figure it out. But it's on the other computer, so I can't do it right now. Alright, let's wash these tusks, teeth, claws, and see what happens. This little thing been quite handy keeping bottles open. Used to use little bits of sprue to jam in the back to keep it from closing, but then it kind of risks tipping it over. So it little holder is pretty neat. Right, use that brush and use a garbage brush. Alright, so let's do this on the back claws first and see how it looks. Definitely going for the dirty, gritty. If you get scratched like this, you better hope you had a tetanus shot, or you're going to need one. And you don't really know with Skeleton Horde until it dries, because it's so glossy when it's wet. Hopefully it'll look okay. And if not, we'll just do something else. Could fix his arm there a little bit. A little bit of paint that scratched off before I gloss coated it. For some reason, this specific resin was not holding the primer very well. So I had to hit it with the clear coat just to keep it from flaking. It's a little disappointing. But we figured it out. Disaster averted. Just won't use that type of resin anymore. I think it was a water-based resin rather than the normal stuff from Elegoo. Someone recommended it. Oops. Gave it a try and didn't work out. We'll just go back. So the 3D printing has had to slow down considerably around here because of all the spending for Christmas shopping and Thanksgiving, hosting Thanksgiving and all that. Kind of ran out of our play money for the month. It's okay because I only have like 3 months worth of prints to now paint, so I could probably turn off the printer and put it away for 3 months and still not run out of things to do. It's just how maybe overboard I went. I don't know if that's the right word or not. Not necessarily a bad thing, just got excited, wanted to print everything. Though the new monthly release from One Page Rules has more Robot Legion in it, so I will be printing those next week. So I'm saving what little resin I have left for that. All right, so those claws and teeth are looking pretty nasty. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't go with just using a lighter tone, because now the teeth look even more dangerous. Like, if you get stabbed with that, that's going to be infected. That's, it's going to cause you all sorts of problems. So, alright, I'm going to use a little bit in the back, just to create the back of his mouth, just to create a little bit of shade back there. Normally I'd use like I could use like the Basilicum Gray, that would work better. Just so you can't see all the way back to the back of the mouth. And create the illusion of greater depth than is actually there. See down the back of his mouth there. Just hit it with the Basilicum Gray to make it look like there's no light back there, and it's just his throat. excited. I found that Hobby Vices present should get to its recipient on Monday. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully he will post on Instagram when he gets it. I don't think he has a Twitter account. That's alright. Alright. What I want to do is do a little highlighting now that that's drying. Just catch some of the edges on his scales on his back. Actually, first I want to fix that little pink spot. We'll do a little bit of red on the edges of the scales back here on this ridge to make them pop out. First I'm going to fix his arm. Do a little bit of yellow and then blend it in if we have to later. Alright, so we need bright red on almost like an orange red. Let's see here. Where is that scale 75 red? Right enough? This is where you make those tough decisions. The red, Antares red, or the more orangish Aldebaran red. I think this one is going to work better. So it's not quite as dark. We'll just hit the tips of that ridge down his back so that it will stand out. Hopefully we can finish this guy today. I have his base here too. I haven't touched it. It's just primed to white at the moment. But it is a neat base. It's got that. It's got like deep scratches in it, like he's been clawing at the ground. That's pretty cool. All right, let's get a little bit of red. Just enough. Try this out and see how it looks. Let's do this back one first. I don't know if you can see it. It might be too subtle. Just want to do the edge on this. Not sure it's really showing up on camera, but there we go. So just hitting those ridges, just doing a little bit of edge highlighting. Nothing too drastic. Yeah, I'm a little fuzzy on the names of battle mechs beyond 3058, 3060. That was right about in the timeline where the BattleTech stuff got put away for a while. So I'm not an expert on BattleMech names after 3058. I think that was the last technical readout that we bought. Alright. It's super subtle, so it doesn't really show up on camera, but it does look better now that it's there. In person. I have to look at them and go, oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, anytime I start to feel like feel pretty knowledgeable, I go and observe what the kind of discussion that takes place in the BattleTech Discord channels, and it's always way above my level. Like, wow, I cannot believe you remember that kind of stuff. Or they have the technical readouts and stuff right in front of them, like knowing which brand of engine is in a mech. Like, oh yeah, that's a GM or whatever other manufacturers. Oh, we know this mech has this size engine. Like, I don't remember any of that. Amazing what people can cram into their brains. Then again, I still have 1980s cartoon theme songs stuck in my head. So there's a room that's just filled with garbage. Like, I can remember my best friend's home phone number from growing up, just because we had to use it so many times. I can still remember that, but I have trouble remembering my own phone number when I'm giving it out. So, like, there's a 9 in there somewhere. Yeah. Alright. So he's looking pretty good. Maybe we need to put him down for a minute and think about base. What can we do with this base? I could do, with all the deep grooves, I'm tempted to do something that would reflect, would kind of show those off. Here's he's visible. It's already really yellow, so I don't want to do a warm base. It's like too. I'm not sure I want to do a green either, because that's a little bit too much of like a kind of a rainbow thing going on. I could do kind of an icy base. Somehow this fire bullet ended up in an icy region. That could work. Yeah, let's try that. We'll give it kind of a snowy, icy base, since it does kind of look like ice anyway. So I will bump the camera is what I'm going to do, because that's just what I do. So let's hit it with the Ultramarines blue and see what happens. Worst case scenario, it looks terrible, and I prime it white again. It's so white that the camera is glaring. those little stainless steel balls. Really nice for contrast paints like Ultramarines Blue and the Silicon Gray and Apothecary White, because they separate like nobody's business. What are you working on today, Steven? Staying out of trouble? There's that brush. The really cruddy brush. The garbage brush. How's it going, Maker? I really like the table stands you showed earlier. I was like, wow, I need some of those. We've got a table that could benefit from being a couple inches taller. We decided to go. Yeah, I think this is gonna work. Deep blue, kind of a snow, icy base for the fire bullet. It'll be like a lava bullet. He's coming out of the lava. It just so happens to be in an icy territory. It's a volcano in the ice. Iceland. About to post a video on Twitter. Awesome. Have food on. That'd be nice. I think I forgot to eat lunch. I have chocolate almonds, but I always have chocolate almonds. Yeah, I always forget, Maker, about like all the things I could be printing that would be actually useful for the 3D printer. One thing I did get is these for the shower to hang up your razor. So printed those off, gave them out to friends and family. Little stocking stuffers, like little things that would be useful. I always forget about it. It's not just for printing plastic toys. Right? Perish the thought, right? Fire bullet there. We're gonna let this dry. Put it up here so it can be seen and not heard. Put the battle mechs away because I'm gonna do anything with them at the moment. Pile of mechs. Alright, so I was working on the Robot Legion a little bit last night. Got some gold on them. Or bronze, anyway, on them. And then so the inside is going to be that glowy green. And I'll do the cable glowy green as well. That will look good for this guy. This guy's like a character. I'm not sure what proxy it would be in some other game, but it could very well be a proxy in some other game that will go unnamed. Yeah. When all of these are done and I have all of the other models unpacked from moving, these will definitely be right next to the Necrons. Oops, I said their name. Huh. Yeah. So that'll be cool. Right, why don't we do that, since that's always a crowd pleaser. Everybody loves the glowy green. I know it brings eyes to the table. It brings eyes to the show. Viewers to the table. I don't know what's going on. Whatever the word means. Whatever the saying is. Just lipstick and pouring out, apparently. So again, my favorite white, not endorsed by, but I am endorsing the Pro Acryl Bolt Titanium White. If you need a bright white, that's the one for you. It's not sponsored, just good. I'll do this whole internal structure green. Base coat it white, and then we'll hit it with the glowy green ink, and it will look awesome. Since we have the white out, I'll do the white on the bullet's eyes as well. Yeah, if you want coverage white, then this is the paint for you. Because even one coat, if you were being super lazy, you could get away with one coat. You might see the occasional shadow underneath. Definitely not seeing it on camera at the moment, but one coat is like probably 80% over black or a dark color like brown. So that's pretty darn good for a white. Best I've ever encountered. Internal structure will be green. Do the cord as well. Tube. Power pack, whatever this is. After this, I have to assemble a treadmill, which my better half ordered for Christmas. I got the lucky task of assembling it so she can actually use it, which will be cool. Seems like everybody's in a rush, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just a nesting thing. To fill open space in the house, like we're not packed in like sardines, and so everybody in the family wants to give us stuff. Oops, touched his little wheel. Like, here, have this piece of furniture. Like, no, please don't. Or at least let us settle in first and figure out what we need, and then we'll talk. Everybody wants to nest and drop their stuff off. It's much better camera placement. Move the camera from being attached to the light to being attached to the shelves next to my desk, and now I can bump the table and it won't shake the camera wildly, and now I won't bump my head into the light constantly. So if you were into the drinking game at home where every time I bash my head against it you drink, then sorry. Though I still bumped my head against the light already earlier. Just won't happen as often. His cord white. Let's see, anything else needs to be white on this guy. Oh, we need the other side of his gun. Always forget about the other side. It'd be so much easier if you only ever looked at models from one side, right? This is now 2D art. Sorry. Just paint models from one side. Saves time. Alright. Looking good. That dry. Now that we have the white out, I can do the bullet's eyes. As I mentioned earlier, we'll hit them with white, and then we'll do this basically the same green that I'm doing on the gun for the Robot Legion. pretty much the same effect. But I'll also hit it with the airbrush to make it look like the eye is glowing. Oh, see, there you go. Keep the camera from wiggling too much as I smash my face against it. Alright, maximum effort here. I guess it doesn't have to be too perfect if I'm going to hit it with the airbrush anyway. And this one's even... This eye is even less open than the other one. Holding breath. It's the Painting Eyeball channel. Welcome. All painting eyeballs all of the time. Alright. That was mostly painless. Super small brush over here. So we do have these 5 kind of rank infantry gunners. I need to do the same, basically the same process here. Cord and the internal bits here. That one's a little tougher. Yeah, let's do the cord for now. Actually, I haven't decided if I want to do that in there. I might do that as a silver in there or a steel instead. Just so it's not so difficult. Focus. Let's focus on everything except what's right in front of it. Focus. There we go. We just have to hold both hands in front of the screen like this, and it's fine. Program the AI for future webcams to always focus on the thing that's the most distant, and never the thing that's right in front of it. White there. Did that on purpose. Regret not painting these in parts? No, he does not. He lives recklessly. He paints recklessly. And it all just sort of works out. Sooner or later, you have a completed model, one way or another. Just have to do it 4 more times. Brace yourselves. It's getting exciting. Deep calming breaths. Be over before you know it. Maker, do you have anything going on this weekend? Besides making awesome stuff? Probably we'll stay in and then probably start diving into some of these presents to wrap them up for the kids. Just sitting in the closet in their packaging at the moment, shipping packaging at the moment anyway. Get them all wrapped up, and we'll get the tree up this weekend too. have a living room that's not full of shipping boxes. Let's stream a design tonight. Oh, that'd be cool. If you figure out a time and then message me, like on Twitter, I will make a point of showing up. I may not be able to interact because I've got parenting duties and getting the little one to bed. Sometimes that timing can be tough, but I could at least be there and say hi and idle if need be. People. Nice. Well, that charity event went well. Oh. Have to do some of that stuff eventually. Once I have a... if I ever get a following. I used to collect money in my class for encourage kids to donate to able gamers. That was cool. Still got my able gamers shirts around here somewhere. Favorite guest speakers had in when I was teaching Intro to Engineering was one of the higher ups at a college that specialized in game design, basically a feeder school for Microsoft and Nintendo and other companies in the Western U.S. And when he came in and he talked a lot about the accessibility, making games accessible to more people, and I thought that was really cool. So we want everyone to be able to enjoy games. Brings us together. Even people who disagree with each other can find common ground when playing games. That's why the Soviets in the U.S. played chess. Even on the brink of war, we could find common ground on the chessboard, even if it was still intensely competitive. So if you'll sit down and play a game with someone and agree upon set rules and behavior, then you're going to build an understanding, and that will extend beyond the game into the real world. Now that's just science. If you respect someone enough to play a game with them, then you can convince them that you might be right in other ways. It'd be nice if we could talk to each other and communicate with each other and find solutions to problems instead of screaming at each other. Toys are a good outlet for children, absolutely. Anything to make people smarter, toys help with that. Exactly. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Even better, if you can get two people to work together to make a game and not just play it. Oh, this one's tube's actually missing. And we'll just do the broken part. I didn't even notice that before. This tube was ripped off. Battle damage, I guess. Every 3D print fail is just battle damage. That's how this works. Huh. Interesting. Why that failed. Missing a support or something when it was printing. We didn't get the tube. Temperance. That's a good word for it. I was mentioning yesterday, someone said something about what advice you would give people on Twitter, and like don't get into arguments with people was my response. The reason why is people have more extreme opinions online because they're not seeing someone face to face, and so you're more willing to take an extreme view, even if that view is intensely hurtful towards the person you're talking to. But if you're face to face with that person, you're much less likely to say things that are deliberately hurtful, and much more likely to find common ground. Scale for kill teams. Yeah, I really think, in so many ways, arguing on Twitter is just it. Unless you're getting an intense personal gratification out of making other people upset, then there's really not much point. Even game-related stuff, just enough. Especially when it's the same argument that you've been having for the last 8 years about something silly that didn't matter in the first place. Do a little bit of highlighting. I think, actually, no, let's keep this on. A little bit of highlighting on the bullet, and then we will, this is still wet, but this will eventually get dry brushed, and then we'll see about making it look icy and looking good. So we'll do a test run. Yep, I think we were right going with that. I think it would have been a mistake to go with the green, because then it would just go red, yellow, green, like as if it were a flowing rainbow. Nothing against rainbows, but you don't want the figure to meld into the base and be hard to differentiate. What was I doing? Oh yeah, highlighting. Or we could do the green. Let's do the green before I have to go. We can use the ink. Let's use Tesseract Glow. Yeah, a long time ago when I was still in college, I think this was in 2003, I went on a trip to England to kind of sightsee, see the British Museum and all the cool stuff there. I just finished my history degree, so I wanted to see some of the things that I had learned about. And the person in London who met me there was a fellow that I knew online, and we had argued intensely over politics many times before actually meeting in person. And we ended up having debates. We'd go to the pub after going around seeing stuff. We'd go to the pub and talk. But our discussions in person were far more polite and respectful than they were online. So that was when I kind of put that theory to action, because we had argued online for quite a while, and then arguing in person is definitely a different experience. Much more willing to kind of concede points and say, yeah, I understand where you're coming from on this, and respectfully disagree, instead of saying, you're an idiot, you don't understand what you're talking about, blah blah blah. That was back when I actually got into arguments online. Didn't know any better to avoid it, like the plague. much happier using social media as a tool to share creativity and to be positive rather than find reasons to argue with people. I could probably count on one hand over the years how many people have actually changed their mind after getting into an argument online. Doesn't happen that often. But if you do get a chance to go to London, I would definitely recommend it. It's definitely a place I want to return to when my kids are older. Seeing all that stuff in the British Museum was just awe-inspiring. You can just stand in front of the Rosetta Stone and just appreciate it for the amazing thing it was to unlock all of this history. This one item kind of just found by chance that helped us understand an entire culture better, which is wonderful. Challenge you. Yeah, I understand there is a certain appeal to going after somebody online. I still have friends that do that, but if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. That's just not my bag anymore. Rather spend my time painting or doing something positive. Especially when the person you might want to argue with is beset upon with messages and they probably never see your message anyway, so why bother? Or they just block you anyway. Why get into it with them? It's not worth it. My hands are so good? Like, steady? Or what do you mean by that? I have taken some flack for biting my nails, though, so it's a lifelong habit. Compulsive behavior. I even tried the stuff to make your, because my son started doing it, probably because I was modeling it, and we tried the little stuff that makes your fingernails taste bad. So you'll put your finger in your mouth and you recoil in horror because it tastes terrible. Well, it didn't actually work, and it just like, oh, well, this tastes terrible, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's how bad the compulsion was. Oh, steady. Yeah, I can't paint minis anymore. Yeah, you were mentioning that before. Yeah, it kind of comes and goes. It's the steadiness. If I, like, during the end of the day, definitely I can't get super detail. Kind of midday, I'm okay. Start out with some aspirin in the morning just to get functioning. At our last place, I replaced, I think it was 250 feet of fencing, and I got a quote from it from a local guy who does fencing work, and it was a ridiculous price. So I said, fine, I'll just do it myself, order the materials, and just started over the course of several weeks replacing the fencing, ripping the posts out, resetting the posts, putting boards up. But ever since then, I just paid for it. I probably should have paid the money and just been done with it, but I'm a little bit too old for that kind of harsh manual labor. I feel it every single morning when you get up. You feel it in your knees. Like, oh, I might be able to get up today. That was like 3 years ago, and I still feel it. Knees, I think it was from all the kind of bending down and nailing things. Definitely at that age where you're feeling all of the mistakes you made in the past in your body. Hand won't listen. Can't explain it very well. I definitely empathize. It's not fun. But you found other ways to be creative, so that's good. There is an outlet for your creativity, and so that's the positive, bright side, right? This is the broken one. Battle damaged, cord missing. Printer replacement, but I'm not gonna. Gotta move forward. Alright. Oh, we can do the bullet's eye. I don't know why this should be back for the light though. It's a race against time. Oh dear. It's been a very rough year for a lot of people. We've had a lot of, in my extended family, we've had quite a few deaths this year, so it's been a somber experience. And lost my grandmother and a great uncle and another great uncle's in hospice right now. And then my mom went into surgery, an unexpected emergency surgery the other day. So it's like, I really can't do any more funerals this year. I can't. It's just, it's overwhelming. I do appreciate the macabre humor. There's only one pedal, and it's the gas pedal. It's okay for the green to overflow a little bit here because I'm going to hit it with the airbrush anyway. Will glow. Looking good. Tongue came out looking pretty good. We might have to do a little blending on it, but it's looking pretty good. Alright, that's the green. I know that's what brought you in the first place. You're just like, stop talking, stop painting with the other stuff, just break out the green ink. You know what we want. Don't tease us. Get that titanium white out of here. So, probably later this afternoon, I'm going to hit it with the airbrush to make just a little bit to make the eye glow. And then we'll pretty much call this done. Base is dry. So let's dry brush the base so you can have at least a view of what that will look like. And then we'll have that down. You know, I know what puts butts in seats because that's what the bright, shiny, glowy colors. None of this metallics. Nobody cares about that. Just break out the bright stuff. Give me the greens, the jungle green, you know, bright blues, elven armor blue, you know, shiny, shiny colors. Have you heard of the prevailing theory for why we like shiny things? I always love sharing this. My sister has an anthropology degree, and she shared this with me. She read it in some textbook somewhere. That human beings like shiny things because way back when we were primitive mammals on the savannah, just trying to survive and find water, creatures that were able to identify the glint of water reflecting in the sun would be able to find water in the distance. And so those creatures found the water, got to survive, and those who didn't find the water didn't survive. And so the trait got carried forward through history, and our still very, in many ways, primitive mammalian brains still see shiny things as being special and being valuable. It's kind of cool. So we like our gold and silver and diamonds, other things. All right, we need to do our Chronos blue, which is a light blue dry brush color that could work. I was watching in a video that you're not supposed to rub your dry brush on paper towel. You're supposed to do it on some non-porous surface to control the amount of moisture in the brush. And then I ended up trying that on just like a piece of cardboard, not cardboard, piece of plastic, and it didn't work very well. So until I find a better way or some better surface, I'm just going to keep using the paper towel. Do this way so catch all the edges. I think I took too much off. Might be a little dark. Building block, right? There we go. It's not always the easiest thing to see on camera. It is catching those edges. I might just go up to white. Let's just do white. We'll see what happens. Worst case scenario, it's a terrible disaster, and you know what? I'll mix the white with the blue that I already have on the brush, and that'll make an even lighter blue. That'll work. My little dental tool. I'm not sticking a blue brush in the white paint. Silly. Just light blue. Oops. Sorry for flicking you off. I don't need to do that. Can you not do those terrible gestures in front of the camera, please? Just barely catching the edge. This will work. Pretty good. I think it's the texture on the paper and the actual dryness of it, because again, I guess it would depend if you're doing actual dry brushing or if you're doing um, the using the dry brush to stipple. Like I wouldn't, if I were stippling, I wouldn't use paper towel. I would just use the tray. So I don't know. I guess it would depend on your purpose. Blue ink, then blue wash. For like, how did I get to this point with the blue? This is just this was primed white, and then I used ultramarine blue contrast paint to get up to this, and then the dry brushing. So I think that looks pretty good. Let's see here. I'm not going to put him on the base until after I get his eyes with the airbrush. That looks really cool. And like the kind of looks like yeah, like a lava bullet. There's probably 15 layers on my pieces. I try to keep mine pretty simple. I'm definitely kind of a minimalist, and just kind of getting it to be representative of the ground on which the model is on, but not overriding the model itself and being too much of a distraction. So I tend to be pretty subdued. Subdued dude. $15 thin coats, 37 thin coats, 412 thin coats. However many you need. Let's do black on the base here. Got nothing else. Yeah, I'm gonna have to call it quits here soon, but we'll get this base done first. Lost the paintings. Well, it's more now. Yeah, I'm kind of cheating with the Robot Legion figures and things like this. I'm printing them a little bigger than their default, just because I like painting a slightly bigger model. What kept me from starting a Imperial Guard unit is all of the infantry at that tiny scale. At normal human size at 28 mil, I don't particularly like painting. Also the reason why I don't have a sister's army. And when I did 3D print a proxy for a sister, it's at 20% larger scale. So these are the size of Primaris Marines, which I'm fine with because it's not like I'm a professional player anyway. Can't use them in a tournament anyway, so no problem. I can pretty safely say that I will never be in a tournament, so no problem. Well, you made it your outcome taste. Maybe sometimes. We'll go with sometimes. One of the neat presents I got from my mom this year is a book of really tacky 70s houses. So photos that people have taken from these houses over the years, hopefully before they're remodeled, gutted, and remodeled. but just really atrocious design choices from the 1970s. Big plush fluffy carpets and colors like green and bright purple and gigantic flowers on wallpaper. It's the kind of stuff that makes people recoil in horror today. Though a little bit of it's coming back in other areas like table settings, plates, and items that go on the dinner table. Stuff from the 60s and 70s is super popular. Oh, jeez. Wow. Super popular right now. So you can't get a set. People used to have entire sets of one thing. For that stereotypical set for when the queen comes to visit. China set. Those from the 60s and 70s and going back even further are incredibly valuable. My mom has been trying to collect some for us when she goes all over the place. We have a set that we're trying to complete, and they're harder and harder to find and more expensive. Yeah, that Art Deco look. Yeah, comes and goes. All right, so I think I'm gonna call that. What I'm tempted to do is add a little green. So I could add a little. This blue contrast is really thin, and so it would fill in the gaps and look greener in the gaps, but leave the top looking pretty much the same, and it would give it just a hint of green, so it would look much more like ocean water rather than rock. So I'm tempted to do that. What do you say? Should we give it a try? Let's do it. What's the worst that could happen? Yeah, we'll see what happens. Hold on to your butts. We'll be really messy with it. Yeah, it'd be an effect that's like immediately recognizable. But most of the blue should still come through. I'll let the green kind of soak in the recesses. That'll dry. It'll take a little bit before that effect will show off, but it's got just enough green on it to make it less of a monocolor. Yeah, and I could dry brush again. We'll see. I'll see what it looks like when it's completely dry. We'll kind of play it by ear. So that'll dry. I think I'm gonna call it good for today. I forgot to eat lunch, so I need to go do that. It's almost 1:30 now. So appreciate you coming out. Good to see you, Maker. The others who came out to chat. Steven, if you're still here. Andre came and went earlier, but thank him again, just in case he comes back to check out the stream. And anybody else who's listening, I appreciate it. And have an awesome weekend. Hopefully I'll come up with some good content to view next week. Alright, take care, Mel.